Avi Loeb, I'm so glad for you to join me today here on the UFO Disclosure Symposium Review. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well. Avi, everybody probably knows you already and they've seen you. You've published over 900 scientific papers, like 8 books, and over 30 years of experience. You're a Harvard professor. But in 2017, you were really thrust into the spotlight when an interstellar object seemed to move through our solar system, and you noticed something very strange about that, didn't you, Avi?
Yeah, well, it was a wake-up call as far as I'm concerned. That was the first object we saw from outside the solar system near Earth. And it looked weird. It was the size of a football field, didn't look like a comet or an asteroid that we have seen before within the solar system. And for that to be the case means that such objects that are weird are abundant. Because if I see an ant in the kitchen, I get alarmed. There must be many more ants out there. And there were 6 anomalies of this object that I describe in my book, Extraterrestrial. And they made me write a scientific paper and several essays in Scientific American talking about the possibility that it might be artificial in origin. And a few years down the line, the Director of National Intelligence submitted a report to Congress talking about objects in the sky that the government is not fully familiar with and cannot understand their nature. And so based on those two interesting, intriguing results, I decided to establish the Galileo Project, which aims to clear up the fog, figure out whether any of these objects might be of extraterrestrial technological origin.
Hmm. So since Oumuamua, you noticed some strange things about the movement as it came through our solar system. Have you noticed any other objects, anything else come up, or have you just been sucked into this entire unidentified and UAP phenomenon realm now?
Well, Oumuamua was the first interstellar object, and as it was tumbling every 8 hours, the amount of sunlight reflected from it changed by a factor of 10. And that meant that it has a very extreme shape, most likely flat, pancake-like. And then it was pushed away from the sun without exhibiting any cometary tail, no evaporation of gas. And the only explanation I could give to that was that it's pushed by reflecting sunlight. And then another object was discovered in September 2020 by the same telescope in Hawaii. It was given the name 2020 SO. It was pushed by the reflection of sunlight, no cometary tail. And then the astronomers a few weeks later realized it actually came from Earth. It's a rocket booster from a 1966 launch to the moon. And we know that it had thin walls. That's why it had a large area for its mass. So it was pushed by reflecting sunlight. It was not designed to be a sail, but it was clearly artificial in origin because we produced it. The question is, who produced Oumuamua? And I should say, a few years later, there was another interstellar object discovered, named after the amateur astronomer who discovered it, Gennady Borisov. It's called Borisov. And that looked just like a comet. And I was asked by colleagues, well, it looks like the second interstellar object appears to be a comet. So it's natural in origin. Doesn't it make you believe that the first one, Oumuamua, was also natural? To which I responded, when you go along the beach, if you find a plastic bottle and then you find a rock, that doesn't make the plastic bottle a rock.
Right.
In fact, it makes it even more unusual if you keep seeing rocks and you encounter the plastic bottle at first. So in my mind, we should check all the objects we find that enter the solar system from outside. And among them, there might be some packages in our mailbox. And perhaps, Oumuamua was flat and thin and was pushed by sunlight, not because it was supposed to be a sail, but simply because it's a leaflet. It's a message from someone else. There was something written on it. And if we don't check it out, we will miss the message.
could have been an interstellar billboard flying through, and we were supposed to read the sign. And
Well, in principle, it would be tragic if someone else is trying to tell us something that could lead to our salvation. We are destroying the climate on this planet. We are doing all kinds of things. We're going into wars and so forth. And perhaps someone is trying to help us, and that someone lived billions of years ago. We just don't know. But one thing is clear: we are sending equipment out of the solar system. And the Voyager, for example, that we sent a while ago, decades ago, it will become defunct in a billion years. It would look like space trash. So some of the pieces of equipment we find might be just space trash, but there could still be some that are equipped with artificial intelligence. I call them AI astronauts, and are still functional. And those would be the most interesting, because we will have to figure them out.
Very fascinating. What are your thoughts, Avi, on, we had the Pentagon and the U.S. Navy basically admit and disclose that there were unidentified UAP objects flying over the West Coast and the East Coast, and the Nimitz and Princeton carrier class ships. What are your thoughts on the ones that are coming into the atmosphere, or is that something that you're also interested in?
Yeah, I'm very interested. And of course, within the Galileo project, we plan to build telescope systems that would look up and search for those objects, because the sky is not classified. The government has classified data. But moreover, we can look at those objects also from above, from satellites. And we plan to partner with companies that provide the satellite data, because then you can see objects also entering the atmosphere. I should say the goal of the Galileo project is to remove the term unidentified aerial phenomena from our lexicon. We want to identify all these objects, so we will not need to use this term anymore. And moreover, these objects, if they came from outside of this Earth, they were initially in vacuum. They were in interstellar space, not really in air. So they shouldn't be called unidentified aerial phenomena. But at any event, it's a fishing expedition. We will look for all objects that we find, and if many of them end up being natural, like birds, meteors, atmospheric phenomena, and others are human-made, so be it. We just want to see if there is anything else, and we will make our data open, just like it should be in the context of a scientific research project. Because if any of these objects came from out of this Earth, then it's not a matter of national security. This knowledge should be shared with all humans on Earth.
I couldn't agree more. And now we have 4 more pieces of footage that's about to be disclosed at the UFO Disclosure Symposium, and you're going to get to witness that and provide your opinion and analysis. What are you going to be looking for, anticipating the most out of these new 4 pieces of footage that are going to be revealed?
Well, I want to see what they're all about, what kind of behavior the objects are showing, and what are the properties of these objects. And of course, I would rather collect the data with instruments that I have full control over, because then I know exactly what happened during the observations. But I'm curious to see what these new photographs or videos show, and I will let you know what I think. But the point is, once we have high quality data, high resolution images, and we can follow the objects with instruments that are fully under our control in multiple wavelengths and so forth, then it should become clear what these objects are. It should be evident whether they're human-made, natural, or something else. And the reason that we are uncertain at the moment is because the data that was released to the public is not conclusive. And in my view, we shouldn't wait for the government to declassify its data, because there are issues associated with the classification of the sensors that were used to collect that data, and the government therefore will keep it secret. But the sky is not classified, and we can look at it with scientific instrumentation. That's what the Galileo project plans to do. And we will assemble the first telescope system on the roof of the Harvard College Observatory in the coming months. Hopefully, by the summer of 2022, we'll have it operating and analyze the data with artificial intelligence software, trying to figure out the nature of objects we see. And then we'll make copies of that system and distribute them in many locations.
Well, first of all, congratulations on that entire project. That sounds like a tremendous undertaking that you've been pushing for, and you've been in the spotlight a lot. And to finally see that come to fruition must be really exciting for you. And then to start to collect that data is just going to turn a whole new chapter in the research that you're doing. So that's very exciting.
Yeah, it will be very exciting. But I'm also excited about the second branch of the Galileo project, which is to get more information about objects like Oumuamua. Basically, come close to him with a camera that takes a high-resolution image, because they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. In my case, it's worth 66,000 words, the number of words in my book, Extraterrestrial. And all I want really is to figure out their nature. And if it turns out that there are rocks of a type that we've never seen before, like mainstream astronomers claim that maybe it's a nitrogen iceberg or a hydrogen iceberg or a dust bunny, so be it. It will educate us that there are nurseries that we've never imagined before that make a very abundant population of objects that we've never seen in the solar system before. So we will learn something new no matter what. But in order to learn something new, we have to look through our windows with telescopes. We can't just sit at home and say we have no neighbors, and because we don't hear any knock on our door. Well, you have to look through the window to find your neighbors.
I couldn't agree more. And I'm so excited to see your presentation when you come to the convention, May 27th through the 29th. And for those of you that have purchased tickets or VIP tickets, make sure not to miss Avi Loeb's presentation. I'm really excited to be there and meet you in person, Avi. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.